Good morning, everyone. My name is Murray Anderson Wallace. I'm the executive producer of www.patientstories.org.uk. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the organisation and the work we do in just a moment. The way we're going to organise the session is that I'm going to speak just for a few minutes, just introducing you to the notion of patient stories and the work that we do. I'm then going to hand over to Clare, who's going to share her story directly with you. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about some of the themes that both Clare and I feel arise from her story. And then we want to pose 3 questions to you as an audience, and Helen's going to facilitate some discussion around as many of the questions that we can get through. So, Patient Stories is an independent social enterprise. We set up just over 3.5 years ago, and our purpose has been around using digital and broadcast media approaches to provoke and stimulate debate about key issues around quality and safety in healthcare. Indeed, my desire, my motivation to begin the work was after I'd first met Clare and heard her talk at a conference nearly 4 years ago now. And I was just incredibly moved and impressed by her story, and felt it needed to be told, and that's really where it started from. Subsequently, I've made 7 or 8 films now, and we've got 3 or 4 more in production at the moment. So let me tell you a bit more about Patient Stories. As I said, we use a digital and broadcast media approaches to raise these issues. Our aim really is to develop a much more nuanced and sophisticated debate and discussion about patient safety and issues around safer care in the public domain. It's really quite important, I think, that we have a much more mature and developed conversation in the public domain about these issues. 4 years ago, when I started this work, it's pre-Francis, pre-Berwick, pre all of those sorts of things, the level of debate and discussion about patient safety issues, even within the NHS, was pretty limited. And I think it's great that we've come a very long way in a short period of time. And that's because, I think, significantly of the efforts of people like Clare and others who have created an external pressure to demand something different. And I think that's really very important. We use social media approaches. We've got quite a strong online presence. I'd urge you to have a look at our website. Also, for those of you who tweet, if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, we'd be pleased to see you there. And we're increasingly working with mainstream broadcasters and national newspapers to try and develop a much more public and sophisticated debate about the issues. We're also working now increasingly with undergraduate medical education, putting a lot of effort into trying to train professionals at a very early stage to really understand the sorts of issues that they are absolutely going to encounter in their careers. These are things that they are definitely going to have to face. And up until now, we've colluded quite often in pretending that these things will not happen, hoping that people will get away with things. And that, frankly, has to stop. Okay, but telling you just a little bit more about how we go about doing this work. As I've already said, we don't make films about pressure ulcers or about falls or about sepsis. We make stories about people's experience, the good, the bad, and the whole experience that people have. We also feel that it's very important that we do take a relatively provocative stance. We're not afraid of raising difficult issues because we feel it's really important for organisations to learn, and to do that we have to look at the whole experience that people have. We're also particularly focused on really trying to get people to understand 3 main kind of issues that arise from all of our stories. To learn more about what the nature of error is, to learn more about the systemic issues that lead to major failures and issues. But also, importantly, we want people to focus on the fact that humans are fallible, and inevitably there will be issues that come up that we have to face, and we have to be good at supporting people, both patients and staff, in dealing with the aftermath of those sorts of issues. And I'll come on and talk about that a bit later on when we've heard Clare speak. The other thing that I really want to emphasise is that this is not about quick wins. It is not about formulaic answers. It's about recognising that there are some really difficult moral and ethical dilemmas that we have to face, some real contradictions and some really difficult issues that we have to work through. And we need to be courageous enough and brave enough to face those issues. The approach that we've decided to take in relation to this is based on a number of kind of core principles. I feel that I've been in and around healthcare now for 25, nearly 30 years, and one of the things that I think I've noticed over time is how we have drifted into a very often quite mechanical, quite unemotional discourse within organisations. And I kind of characterise this by something I saw the other day, where I heard somebody describing the work that was done by a healthcare organisation as leveraging delivery outcomes. And I think when we start to talk about leveraging delivery outcomes rather than caring for families in need, I think we need to stop and we need to consider how we're talking about these issues. I think stories are a great way of helping people to reconnect with our sense of humanity, and I would invite you to think about that as you're hearing Clare speaking. And I also think that when harm occurs, which inevitably it does, healthcare is a very risky business, humans are fallible, our systems are, in many cases, quite underdeveloped for dealing with these sorts of issues, that actually sharing and developing a shared narrative about what's happened is critically important, both for learning, but also for what I would consider to be the moral repair that's often needed when things have gone badly wrong. So, I'm going to stop there for the moment. I'm going to introduce you to Clare Bowen, who, as I said, I've worked with for a number of years now. Clare is, in my view, probably one of the most courageous and brave people that I've ever met. I think that she has shown a kind of energy and passion for wanting things to be different, which is incredible. And I think that we owe it to people like Clare to show the same kind of bravery and courage in our response to these kinds of stories.